Super Bowl's coming up here, and over the weekend, last week in the conference championship games, I think your picks entering the playoffs, I believe, were Denver and Arizona in the Super Bowl. Were you surprised that Carolina handled Arizona the way they did?
But I gave out Denver to win the Super Bowl, and but Arizona was my NFC team. Was I surprised? I mean, yeah, I was surprised that we turned the ball over 7 times. We're going to lose the game. So I don't believe Arizona beat Carolina. Arizona beat themselves.
Obviously, the bettors, the public, have jumped on the Panthers, brought that line down to around 6, a lot of places. What are your thoughts for the Super Bowl?
Denver plus the point. I have $2 million running on Denver right now to win outright. I bet them at the beginning of the year over 100,000, $2 million, just like my Royals bet. And I believe Denver. I mean, I think the 5.5, 6 points is a gift. But I think Denver too. I think Denver still wins outright.
I know you just mentioned, your Royals bet. That was obviously something that got a lot of attention. Your Denver bet from before the season as well. It seems like futures is something that you really tend to hit pretty hard, and it seems like you get a lot of value from doing that. Is that one of your, I guess, biggest strategies when it comes to sports betting?
In Las Vegas or anywhere else that bets 6 figures on futures. I mean, most casinos after I crush them to the Royals, they limit my bets. The Westgate, which is the biggest sports book, won't take my bets no more. William Hill will only let me win 300,000 on a future, and MGM Properties only 300. So I'm really screwed if I want to hit 7 figures again because they've cut me off because the liability is so big. But yeah, I'm very good at predicting the future on sports bets, and championship bets. I predicted like 5 of the last 8 championship winners, and I never picked the favorites. I always take the underdogs. I had the Ravens 25-1 3 years ago. They won the Super Bowl. Then I had the Red Sox at 10-1 when they won World Series, and then the Royals, which was a record at 30-1 odds, and then the Holly Holm bet, which was 11-1 odds, and now the Broncos at 16-1 odds. And so yeah, I kill them in futures because I mean, what other investment's paying you back 15 to 30 times your money?
Obviously, with the Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey, there was only one underdog to pick in that situation. But on some of these futures, are you sprinkling this out across a couple of teams? Like maybe you'll go into a season, look for teams that are 10 to 15-1, who you think have a good chance at winning a championship, and maybe sprinkle it out over a couple of different teams?
Here's what I do. I always pick a Super Bowl winner, which was Denver this year. But I'll also pick an NFC team in case the NFC team goes, and I have an easy Super Bowl. So I'll take Denver and Arizona were my picks, but I had a lot less on Arizona, of course. And then I take a backup as well, which is even a bigger odds. So I had Green Bay at 20-1 and the Chiefs at 25-1. So I'd take a backup NFC and a backup AFC team, which pay a lot less. But all the heavy money was on Denver for me. But I do backup all amount as well.
So you're so you're not even hedging all that much when it comes down to it. Like the picks that you make at the beginning of the season, you're able to cash in on nearly that full amount because you're not really spreading it out among several
Correct.
different teams.
So if you spread them out, then you don't win money.
Yeah, the payout's just gone like that. The Ravens Super Bowl odds.
The Ravens put me on the map. I mean, that was a $200,000 ticket off 8,000. People have heard about me, but that's the one that got me in the news and media and got people's eyes open about me. They were 25-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. The highest ranked, or the lowest ranked, the highest ranked when they entered the playoffs. But it was 4 games on the road, and they did it.
Yeah, that was obviously a surprise to a lot of people. So going into a season, are there any specific things that you look at with a team when you're trying to choose that? And let's focus on football for this. What do you look for in a team that makes you decide here's someone I think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Defense and a solid quarterback.
So the Ravens obviously had the good defense. You believed in Flacco. This year you believed in Peyton, and obviously Broncos defense has really paid off. So
yeah, I knew in week 1 I looked at who they picked up. I really liked TJ Ward. I liked their secondary. They had Ware coming back, and they were going to be healthy this year. So I knew they were going to have the best defense. I remember telling my dad they're going to have the best defense, and I knew Peyton was going to retire this year, so I just said, you know what, they're going to do it.
Baseball, what do you look for with those teams? I know one reason you said you really liked the Royals was because they had a strong bullpen. And I know that you just felt during the season as it went along that they became a team of destiny. But entering a season, what are some of the major criteria you look for with a baseball team?
Start all pitching, starting the bullpen, starting pitching in the bullpen, and to see who they picked up, the acquisitions they picked up in the offseason compared to last year's roster. So I look at the roster change, but most importantly, pitching for me.
And when can we look forward to your World Series pick for the 2016 season?
I already know who's going to win, but I'm not giving them out yet.
Is that going to be released through your site or elsewhere?
No, just for my paying players. I have baseball packages where people pay me for my baseball picks, and the futures are included in my baseball picks. So I just don't want to cheat my paying clients out of that. But I already pretty much know who's going to be in the World Series, and I already have payouts of over $1 million on those already. Had to spread them out early right now before everyone's focused on football. I'm already moved on to baseball in my head. I've been on baseball for the last month.
So you said with some of these casinos, they've limited your total payout to six figures. Is it 300,000 is the most they'll allow you to win?
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
it's a bigger casino like MGM. I can win 300. Say I pick the Nationals to win, they'll let me bet to win 300,000 at the Mirage and 300,000 at William Hill. And then I have to go to these rinky-dink casinos like the Rio and like the Sun Coast. They'll only let me win 20,000. So I'll just spread it around like 12, 13 casinos. I mean, Caesars, which is owned by Harrah's, I went to place a baseball feature last week, and they said they'll only take $300 from me because I'm a liability. So they'll let Steve Stevens, who has his own talk show, bet 50,000, but they'll only take 300 from me. I go to Cantor Gaming, which is the Palms and the M, where Floyd Mayweather bets $500,000 bets, but I only can win 50,000 on the game. So I'm limited to all these casinos, but they take all this action from everybody else.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If you're cleaning them out for the most part, whether they would even allow you. Are there some casinos out there who don't allow you to bet?
Yeah, the Westgate. The Hilton was the Westgate's the biggest superbook. They kicked me out.
How long
They,
how long ago did that happen? And did they say,
oh no,
specifically?
I beat them for the Royals. And I mean, I have a total lawsuit I performed against them. I bet a college football future. It was Baylor, and it started off at 20-1 odds, and they were 4-0 or 3-0, and the odds dropped to 7-1, and the odds changed drastically. Jay Cornigy had the nerve to call me up and say, "Hey, we need to return that ticket. We made a mistake. We don't want to go over those limits for you." I said, "What are you talking about? I'm not going to return those tickets. This is not like a Kmart or a Target. You don't return bets." He said, "If you don't return that ticket," which was 3 weeks later, after 3 games are played, we're going to kick you out. We're not going to let you play anymore."
So you kept your ticket and decided to
I actually
let them.
swallowed my pride, and I was pissed off. I went down there, and I said, "You know what? The Westgate takes the most action for me. So you know what? I'll just suck it in, um, and repair our relationship so I can keep betting there." I drove down there, and they blew me off and said, "Oh, you know what? Come back tomorrow." And I just lost my mind. I was like, "First of all, you have no right to do what you've done, and then I'm trying to make good, and you just got off the phone with me. I drive down here with the tickets, and then you tell me to come back another day." So I just kept the tickets, and they won't take my bets. I didn't know. I thought I just could have bet the sports book, but I was there with my dad like a couple of weeks ago at the casino, and they kicked me out for trespassing. So I guess I'm not allowed to be on that property anymore.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, I have 300,000 Denver futures are at the Westgate, so it'll be interesting with me collecting the money there because if they don't pay me, it'll be a huge gaming lawsuit.
Have you uh, have you made this public? You actually have a lawsuit that you're pursuing here?
I haven't done it yet. I just don't have time. I could do it, but what am I going to sue for? My comps, they took my comps away. I mean, everyone's so viral about it because you can't do that to someone. You can't kick someone out because they won't return a betting slip 3 weeks later. I told them that's your fault. Fire the ticket writer. Don't fire me. When I go up there and have a player's card, you need 5 managers to approve my bets because they're always six-figure bets. You know who I am. Don't call me 3 weeks later when you do your numbers and say, "Oh, we made a mistake. Return my ticket."
So this Baylor ticket, was this before the most recent season that was won by Alabama?
Yeah, And Baylor was the favorite after a while. They were blowing everybody out, so they lost their starting two quarterbacks.
Right.
I had huge. I even had emails from the Hilton saying, "Call me or bring the tickets," and I had proof. That's why when I went on the radio talk show, I said, "Bring Jay Cornady on. I guarantee he won't show up because they know what they did is wrong, 100% wrong. Put him. I even paid him $1,000 to show up on the radio with me, but he can't say that.
Has
He was wrong.
anything like that happened before where another book has asked you to return something or
No,
done
I never
something?
even heard of such a thing. It's ridiculous. That embarrassed. Can't ask. Once the ticket's printed, done.
Yeah.
Yet 3 weeks later, when the odds dropped from 30 to 1 to 8 to 1,
Yeah. What did you get them at initially? Was it 20 to 1 or 30 to 1?
like 20 to 1, and it dropped to like 6 to 8 to 1 after they were like 4-0 and blew everybody out.
Yeah. I guess, I want to kind of get into the business aspect of this for you. Um, how many years have you considered yourself a professional gambler?
About 5 to 6.
Okay.
Been doing it for 15, but a lot of bumps and bruises, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of good wins and even worse losses, and then the last 5 years I really excelled.
Have you had another actual job, like a paying job that brought you income aside from sports betting in this period?
When I moved to Vegas from Hawaii and I took out the student loan to start my gambling career, back then there was a stated income loan. So I bought a house for like $300,000 and zero down. I just rented it out to my roommates to pay my mortgage, and then there was a boom, and I refinanced and pulled out like $250,000 of equity, and I was done with the house.
How
So
long? How
I
long?
think over the mortgage industry as well about 10 years ago. Everyone did mortgages on the side 10 years ago because it was so much money.
How long ago was that when you first moved out to Vegas?
2001.
Okay. And then, so you said for about the last 5, 6 years, you would say you've considered yourself a professional gambler.
Yes.
Um, then your last paying job or non-sports gambling job, when would that have been?
Jeez. Decade ago, 10, 11 years ago.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was sports betting, but I was just doing loans for my house, mortgage loans on the side for extra money.
Wow. Um, so you have two aspects of the sports gambling business. It's you actually betting on games and the futures and cashing in on those, and then also selling your premium picks. What's the breakdown between the two of those in terms of what brings in the revenue for you personally?
Well, if I had a big future like I've been hitting, those are million, seven-figure payouts. Um, I bet every week as well. So during the baseball season, I bet 2 to 3 times a week, and each ticket's anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000. So, I bet the difference for me than any other handicapper out there is that not only do I give up the plays to my players, is that I back up my plays with my own money as well, so they know I'm all in with them. I started with 5 players 5 years ago, and now I have close to 4,000. So it's all through word of mouth and social media. So when I sell my packages, it's all word of mouth, and the way I've been consulting for people, a lot of people are investing with me now because hedge funding in sports betting is legal, and the returns I'm giving out, especially for baseball, are more than any stocks and dividends are paying right now for people.
So hedge funds are investing in your picks and using that as actual investments?
It's legal now, and I have meetings coming up to talk about baseball season, about hedge funds starting to use my picks as the outlet to generate money.
Wow. Do you have any information on any of the hedge funds you have meetings planned with?
I haven't. I can't release any information until I meet with them, but it's coming up in the next 30 to 40 days before baseball starts.
Okay.
Because it just got legalized about 4 months ago that you can do hedge funds for sports betting in Nevada.
In each of these last 5, 6 years that you've been doing it, have you generated positive returns each year?
Yes, every year.
Do you I guess what's the longest stretch that you've ever gone with, I guess, a cold streak, and like does that ever get you down or do you
No,
kind
no.
of enjoy
I'll
that?
admit I had the worst bowl season ever. This season I lost. I started off hitting 80% of my games, and I ended up only winning 20% of my games because for the first time in bowl season, the favorite and over covered 85% of the time.
Yep.
So the books got smashed, and I had predominantly underdogs. So for 1 week, I had the worst week ever. But you know what? It was just one bad week out of 52 weeks. I moved on, and now I'm focusing on trying to cash in the seven-figure ticket right now.
As someone who has a premium service like that and people are betting with your picks, how do you feel personally, like how much pressure is there to deliver? Do you get that feedback from them when they're losing? I mean, I have to imagine that's really hard to deal with.
Oh yeah, I mean the problem is between me and other people, I actually care about my players. I mean, I respond to every single email personally. I don't have a system that does it. I have my phone 24/7, answer every email. I run it, very like a $10 million business. I take it very seriously, and I do care. When I lose a game, I think about my players. Forget me losing 20 grand. I know these people. Most of these people can't manage their money. They can't follow a system. I give them a unit system, and I felt really bad for the bowl season because we did really bad. So what I did is I gave all those people a free baseball season. Baseball is about $1,500, and I gave all those people a free baseball system for this year because I felt bad. There's nobody else would do in the industry, but I did it because I actually care and I felt bad. I don't think I'll do it again because it's an investment. Like a stock broker. You invest money in stocks, and the stock crashes. You don't ask your broker for a refund. Just everything is gambling. But I felt so bad that I had a bad week that I offered everyone a free baseball season coming up here in April.
Did they
And a lot of
seem,
people.
yeah, they seem to be pretty happy about that.
Oh yeah, because no one else in the industry does that. You have to understand this gambling industry is pretty much a bunch of crooks, degenerates, and dishonest people. They just want your money. They don't care if they win or lose, and some of them don't even watch the games. They don't even return the emails once they get their money. Unlike me, right now I'm pretty much the face of sports betting, so I have so many haters. I have people trying to resell my picks for $20 on social media, claiming that they have all my picks and that I'm a fraud. When you're on top, everyone just wants to talk about you. But they always say any publicity is good publicity. All it does is just drive people to my website. And if anybody has any common sense, when they look at my website, they would know I'm legit if I'm in the New York Times or Yahoo or Maxim or all those reputable companies and magazines as well.
I know, obviously, futures is something that you do. You just talked about hitting underdogs pretty hard in bowl season. What are some of the basic tips you can give to the general sports bettor that you think tends to lead to good returns?
Don't always bet on a favorite. I always tell people Vegas will have a new casino built every single year, the favorite one every single time. Most importantly, money management and discipline. This is what everybody lacks. This is why 99% of people fail in this business. To be a professional, you have to have skill, hard work, and you have to have some luck too. The ball has to bounce your way sometimes. But the other 50% is money management and discipline. You have to not chase. If you lose for the day, you need to move on. You can't be like everybody else and chase, and bet the red money on it. That's huge. That's what made me a professional from an amateur is, managing my money and not playing. I don't play that much. For baseball season, out of 162 games, I played 50. I pick them very, very carefully.
Yeah, I know you talked about the money management. What about how many times have you been at zero, during your career where you've gotten down to zero and built it back up, and how were you able
Many
to do
times.
that?
Many times. Good parents, that believed in me. 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I lost everything. I made good money, side money on the mortgages. I was making good money betting, and then had a bad week and bet it all. Um, just chase betting and just betting on all the TV games and just wanting to win that week and just chase and chase and chase. So I was in debt. I borrowed from my parents. Luckily, they believed in me. They helped me more than one time, but I swore it would be the last time I did it. And I finally made a realization I was good at what I do, but I just couldn't manage my money. So I knew if I wanted to get out of this hole and be in a career that I really enjoyed and was passionate about, I needed to get my stuff, my act together, and which was money management. So I hit rock bottom many times, um, 10, 11 years ago, but recently I'm getting better every year. I don't know if they're going to keep taking my bets. The problem is there's 4,000 people buying my picks, everyone bet the Royals with me last year. So not only did I cash out 2.5 million, they lost millions others from all the other players. So when I give out a pick and I send it out to my players, the line moves here in Vegas because thousands of people are betting that game that I'm betting. Not to mention I'm betting 20, 30,000 on it, which will move the line. Plus, you have all these other people betting 100 to 500 a game, which are my players.
I know obviously some of the amounts that you've been able to win on some of the bets that have hit big lately. I've seen, your social media profiles. I see the nice cars. I guess kind of a question I know a lot of people would wonder. How much money have you made through sports betting? I guess, can you give a dollar figure on, how much your total worth is?
I don't like to do that. I mean, I just can tell people I'm a millionaire. That's about it. I don't like to go more than that.
I guess, in a given year, about how much are you typically winning, would you say?
Depends on my future hits. It can vary. If I hit, I mean, the last 3 months of the year, Holly Holm, Royals, and then I hit $1 million in the NFL one week. That was $4 million in a 3 month span
So
of 3 weekends.
yeah, so that obviously varies. What's the long-term plan for you? Obviously, you have some casinos that are limiting the amount that you're able to bet. You have your players who subscribe to you. What's the long-term business plan for you and for what you do?
I believe it's the consulting side. I'm at the point where I already have my assets paid off. I'm in a good situation. So I can only bet a future to win half a million or a million. Still, I mean, I still can make a million a year or half a million a year just on a future bet. Plus, I sell 4,000 subscriptions at 1,500 a package. That's another 600,000. So, I mean, I don't spend money anymore. I just go out to the nightclub and spend a lot of money. But right now, I don't do anything. I'm so focused on the business and I'm saving money. I mean, a lot of people talk to me about getting a radio show because I'm very knowledgeable. I'd like to be an analyst. I'd like to be on ESPN. I'd like to give my thoughts because you know what? I'm better than those guys. I mean, everything they say, I'm the opposite. And I'm usually right 90% of the time than they are. But I know it'd be a huge pay cut because the kind of money I make is nothing like what they make. But I would just do it because I enjoy the line of work, talking sports. So I'd like to be able to either write a column or, like the Jalen Rose, be able to talk about sports because that's my passion.
There's a lot of services out there now that run numbers and have algorithms and things like that, whereas you're different. You do it based on your own personal beliefs and knowledge of the sport and what you see and your kind of intrinsic analysis. Do you have any thoughts on the two different schools? I guess you're more kind of like, if this were Moneyball, you're more that scout visual kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm a visual person. Forget the algorithm. Not a mathematician. I don't crunch numbers. I mean, I just have a gift. I can look at the lines that come out. I can look at 60 football games college day, circle 5 lines that are off, and narrow it down to one or two and slam that pick hard for like 100 grand. My office has 7 TVs of a built-in sports book. I'm a visual person. Like I say, that's how I handicap the games. A lot of people just check the final score. Hey, 13-10, the final game score. But you know what? Maybe that quarterback missed 3 open wide receivers that could have been touchdowns. Maybe the referee called a pass interference call. That was a phantom call. That doesn't show up on the final score. So I know why each team wins or loses, and I watch hours and hours of the sports. I mean, I can name every single person on pretty much every team in baseball from their starting lineup to their pitching staff. I just have a photographic memory on sports. I can tell you what college they went to. I know how they face lefties and how they bat against righties. I know the matchups in the World Series. I just knew everything. I mean, I was sitting behind Erin Andrews in the World Series, and she turned around and said, "She goes, you know more than Ned Yost about this team." She said, "You should really be a manager, Dave, because I was there every game." And she told me that. She's like, "Your knowledge is so on point. You told me that after Hosmer had that error, he was going to come back and win the game for them." She's like, "You're right. Everything you said was right." She's like, "You should really go into this field." The only problem is that you're correlated to gambling, and a lot of people don't like gambling and betting. But I don't mind talking sports without mentioning bets. I don't have to mention the money me. I just like sharing the knowledge.
I guess when did you kind of feel like you're really good at this? And were there any points where your confidence in your ability to pick and see this sort of thing wavered?
I know I was always good at predicting things. Very good intuition. As a kid, I used to collect baseball cards, 12, 13 years old, and buy them and sell them for more at baseball card shows. I could buy a card. I'd be like, God, this guy is gonna be a good guy, a good rookie. I buy it for $5 and flip it for like $20  2 weeks later. I was always good at predicting, players and teams. Um, I mean, I just always knew that I had a gift, and I was always an athlete in high school, and I've always watched sports. But now I just narrowed it down to football and baseball, and I believe I can win every year. I mean, I don't think they can beat me. I just believe I can crush them on the futures.
Was there any point along the way where you kind of your confidence in yourself and your ability to pick wavered?
Yeah, but then a gambler's a short-term memory, so I was bummed after the bowl season. I hit 25% in the last week for my players. It made me second guess myself. But a week later, less than a week later, I was fine. This industry, I'm very numb to it. When I won the Royals bet for 2.5 million, I went to bed right away. I was excited, and I was more excited for the accomplishment of that. No one's ever going to hit a future bet ever. It was a record for the monetary reason. It just, we have a short-term memory. I'm very numb to it. So if I lose 100,000, I can go to the movies 3 hours later, and if I win 100,000, I'll be happy, pump my fist, and then off to bed for the next day. So it's like I don't know. I don't think I can really explain it. It's not like I don't respect money or value the dollar. It's just a business for me.
What's next for you? What do you look at for yourself long term? Is it, working with the hedge funds, continuing to be a consultant? Is it possibly doing a TV thing?
I'm looking for TV. A lot of people say I'm good for TV, but the thing is, I don't want to do a sports betting show because then I forget about my secrets. I'm working on. I think my next spot or my next opportunity is write a book. I've had a lot of people approach me because I live a pretty crazy lifestyle in Vegas. So, pretty much talking about the truth about the Vegas scene, the truth behind closed doors. Because of, some with a lot of money that spent millions of dollars in the clubs, I have a different viewpoint from the average Joe Schmo that waits in line, and also how I ended up beating the books, and the truth about gambling and tips, and my story, so people can relate to it.
Yeah,
So I'm
people
working.
just they love that, that high life thing because it's a fantasy for most people.
Oh yeah, I have people all over the world emailing me, saying they live vicariously through me. So it's at the point now. Every time I go out to dinner, people recognize me at the airports. It's just getting really, really big. And now, if God forbid Denver wins, this is going to be all over again. I was just in the tabloid today again for sports.